Welcome to Sammyeats. My name is Samantha Mui, cookbook author and a culinary blogger. Over each episode, I'm going to prepare an Asian dish with a twist, and I'm going to share with you some of my favorite kitchen hacks. Today, we are going to be making one of my favorite recipes, my ultimate comfort food, which is wonton soup with a little bit of scallion oil. So there's 3 parts today. First, we're going to be making the dumpling filling, and I'm going to share with you how I'm going to be able to fold the dumplings and my little tricks for that. And I'm going to share with you how to make a wonderful aromatic broth in no time. And lastly, we're going to be making this really wonderful scallion oil. Traditionally, in wonton soup, we don't add the scallion oil, but I really think that it adds that extra touch. So first thing first, we're going to be making our dumplings. For our ingredients today, we have our cornstarch, egg, garlic, soy sauce, sesame oil, and a little bit of rice wine vinegar. So let's go ahead and just start doing. So I have cornstarch today. I also have an egg. These 2 are gonna act as a binder. And another pro tip is when you're using cornstarch, that is actually the way that the meat is gonna be tenderized. This is my mother's trick, my grandmother's trick. You always wanna add a little bit of cornstarch into your dumpling filling. I'm gonna go ahead and just put in my garlic. We're gonna add a little bit of soy sauce, some sesame oil, and some rice wine vinegar. So now I'm gonna go ahead and just get it all combined. Because we're gonna be adding scallion later, we're gonna just go ahead and just have this as our base. You just wanna make sure that all the marinade has really seeped into the pork. This is one of those really great recipes to do with your kids. Have everybody come over, make the filling, everybody makes their own set of dumplings. It's really a family tradition at my house. We're gonna let it just chill for about 5 minutes. A lot of people tell me, Sam, it's really hard to make dumplings. Let me break it down for you. So we're gonna be using the square wrapper, which is also known as the wonton wrapper. This is what you use usually for soup dumplings. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take about 1 teaspoon of filling and we're just gonna put it right in the middle of our wonton wrapper. Now you're gonna go ahead and take one of your fingers and you're gonna dip it into the water. And basically we're gonna make a V, just like this. Now we're gonna make a triangle by folding it over. Make sure it's sealed all the way. The filling's in, it's a triangle, and it's completely sealed. That's when we're gonna take our finger again, put it onto one of the sides, and you're gonna go ahead and push this side towards the one that's already pushed with water on top. Now here's my little test to know that your dumpling is done. I like to perform a seating test, and if it sits nicely, that's how you know you have a perfect dumpling. When I was younger, I had fond memories of watching my mom make dumplings at home. She would just throw a bunch of random ingredients into a bowl, and it always turned out fabulous. So 20 years later, when I moved to Shanghai, China, I was on my 60th bowl of dumpling that month. And for some reason, I just really missed my mother's dumplings. And I ended up going to the market and purchasing all the ingredients by memory, and I recreated it. And that's when I had this aha moment, that dumpling making is actually quite simple. You just have to follow the steps and the guidelines, but other than that, it's really customizable and it's very lovely. So right now we're gonna be making our scallion oil, which I'm gonna drizzle it on top of my wonton soup. We have a few ingredients for the scallion oil. We have some green onions, some ginger, and garlic. I have to actually heat up this oil. So I have some cooking oil. I'm gonna go ahead and just pour it over here. This is about a 1/2 cup. I'm gonna wait till it gets really hot. So over here, I'm gonna go ahead and in my food processor, got some green onions that I'm gonna add to it. Got some ginger that I've skinned already, and a handful of garlic cloves. I love using a food processor because sometimes you just don't really have the time to chop a bunch of stuff and clean the cutting board. This is a perfect thing for you. It's one of my biggest hacks, using a food processor to chop a lot of different things. Look at that, that is perfect. We want something that looks finely chopped, and when we pour that hot oil on top, it's gonna look fabulous. You wanna put this in a microwavable bowl or a bowl that can kind of take heat, because we're gonna pour the oil directly into this bowl. Now that we already have our chopped aromatics, I'm gonna go ahead and season this before we pour the hot oil. I'm gonna put a little bit of sugar, just a little pinch, I guess, and a little bit of salt. That's gonna really bring out its flavor. Go ahead and mix this together, and it's gonna instantly draw out the flavor. Now, another hack. How do you know if your oil is ready to be poured over? We're gonna go ahead and take a chopstick and we're gonna stick it into hot oil. If you hear a sizzle sound, that means it's ready. Yeah, that's exactly it. Do you guys see it? And the bubbles are just surrounding its chopstick. That's when you know it's ready to be poured over. And you're ready for the sizzle sound? You want to take some time to let it just marinate. And already you see the oil is interacting with the green onions, ginger, and all that wonderful flavor. And what you want to do now is just let it chill and sit on the side. All right, so now we're going to be working on our aromatic broth. So I have a few different aromatics. It's our ginger, green onions, garlic, and one of my favorite hacks is you want to whack each of the ingredients to really releases its flavor. So go ahead and just whack it a little bit. For your ginger, it's a little bit harder. Sometimes if you have a cleaver, it's probably the better choice, but for me, I'm just gonna go ahead and whack it a little bit. You can see I'm kind of breaking the skin of these green onions, and that's kind of what you want to do. Now over here, I have a pot that's heating. I'm gonna go ahead and toast it. That's another hack I wanna share with you, is that you wanna actually toast your aromatics. This is kind of at a medium heat. You wanna be careful not to burn your ingredients, and I'm gonna go ahead and just throw it into the pot. Kind of hear a sound, a bit. We're gonna let it just toast for a few minutes, and as soon as it gets a little caramelized, we're gonna go ahead and add our chicken broth. Our aromatics are getting nicely toasted. You can see got a little bit of charring happening. And now we're gonna go ahead and add our chicken broth. This is about 10 cups of the chicken broth. You wanna pour it directly into the pot, like so. And now I'm gonna add a drizzle of sesame oil, just to give it a bit of that nutty flavor. And I'm gonna go ahead, turn it on medium-low heat, and just let it simmer for a little bit as we're waiting for our dumplings. Put your lid on and just let it marinate. Now I've got a pot of boiling water. I'm gonna go ahead and drop my dumplings into the water. I put this cornstarch on the bottom of my sheet tray because I wanted to prevent it from sticking. It's very common if you don't put anything on the bottom of wherever you're placing your dumplings for it to stick. So let's go ahead and just drop it. It's very important to note that when you're putting your dumplings into the pot, don't overcrowd it too much. Probably gonna put 8 to 10 dumplings in this pot of water, and they actually get cooked pretty fast, so don't worry about putting all of it at once. You wanna make them in batches. The dumpling is gonna rise all the way to the top, and that's how you know when it's ready. So give it a few minutes. It really doesn't take long. So my broth is already getting really hot and looks fabulous. I'm gonna go ahead and add my bok choy. You wanna add the bok choy maybe 1 to 2 minutes before you're about to serve. So go ahead and just drop it in there. Okay, so the dumplings are almost ready. They're rising to the top, and we've got our boiling broth over here. So let's go ahead and fish out our dumplings. You wanna be very delicate with it. Look at that. And now I'm gonna go ahead and fish out some of my broth. Try to just get the broth itself. Gonna add the bok choy as well. Look at that. And now we've got the finished wonton and the soup. We're gonna go ahead and drizzle our scallion oil. Go ahead and just drop it in. You can add as little and as much as you like. I personally love this, so I'm gonna add a little bit more. If you like heat, go ahead and add your favorite chili oil, your sriracha, whatever hot sauce you like, or even hot pepper. For me, I always add my famous blend of my Sammyeats chili oil, so I'm gonna go ahead and drizzle a little bit of that. Isn't she a beauty? Oh my goodness, look at that, everyone. You can see all the swirls of the scallion oil with the chili oil, the beautiful dumplings, and the color of the bok choy. This is my ideal comfort food. If you like what you saw today, stay tuned for more Sammyeats videos. I'll see you next time.